Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Donnie, and this is one of the first videos that I'm making on YouTube about money and about money management, finances. The reason I decided to make this video is because I wish I knew when I was a teenager what I know now about how to manage money. I didn't have any idea how to manage money when I first started working. I didn't know the importance of saving, and I certainly did not know how to manage. And so this video is primarily for people who are between the ages of 15 and 25, especially if you live at home. Perhaps you don't have children yet. Maybe you're in high school, you're getting your first job, and you want to know about managing money. So I'm going to give 5 tips today about managing money. And I hope this will be helpful to people that are younger than me who are entering the world of income. And hopefully these tips will help you to be successful. So let's jump right into our first tip. And the first tip is to be a saver. I often ask people, are you a saver or a spender? Most people say, I'm a spender. And that's okay, but the first tip is to be a saver. If you live at home with your parents, you don't have children, if you started working, especially if you're between the ages of 15 and 25, you need to save money. I would suggest, if you're still living at home, and this may seem unrealistic to some, but I would suggest to save half of your income. No children, no heavy responsibilities, no heavy bills, even if you contribute toward your family's house, to try to save 50% of your income. Now, what's the advantage of being a saver? Well, when you're a saver and something unexpected happens in your life, you can be your own bank. And what does that expression mean, your own bank? Well, most of the time, when people run into financial hardship, car breaks down, miss a few days at work, you have an unexpected expense, they have to borrow money. They have to go to a bank and get a loan, or they have to borrow from other people, or they have to use a credit card. In most cases, you end up spending someone else's money or getting a loan from a bank to pay for this when you could have been your own bank. For example, a few years ago, my air conditioner went out in my house. It was over 100 degrees in the house. It was miserable. So I called around, shopped around different air conditioner companies, and finally someone said, hey, we'll come fix your air conditioner for $5,000, replace the whole unit. And they didn't accept credit cards. So in that situation, I was able to be my own bank. I borrowed the money from my own savings account to pay them, and then I paid my savings account back. No interest, no fees, no penalties. When you learn to become a saver, you can be your own bank. Another example of the advantage of being your own bank. Let's say you start saving around age 15. You're saving half your income. Perhaps by the time you're 16 or 17, you may be able to purchase your own car. Perhaps by the time it's time to get your own apartment, you have enough money for your own deposit. Perhaps if you're trying to get a house, you have enough money for your deposit for that house. When you're in the habit of saving money, you can be your own bank. You can take money from your own account to be able to pay for things that come up in life, things that you may want. You never know what can happen in life. There's always that expression of a rainy day. You get sick, you miss a few days at work, you get behind on your bills. When you have a savings account, you can be your own bank. You can tap into that account whenever you need the account, or whenever you need the money rather, and then you can use that money to pay for whatever it is you need to pay for without having to borrow money or being dependent on credit cards or other people. So the first major tip, number 1, is to learn to be a saver. Doesn't mean you can't spend anything, but make it a habit that every time you get paid to save a certain amount of money. You know, if you get paid $150 a week at Publix, then save $50 a week. Save $75 a week. Save $25 a week. Whatever the amount is that works for you, be consistent and save that. Be a saver. Make it a habit. Make it a part of you to be a saver and not just a spender. And again, when things happen in life, you can be your own bank. Another benefit to being a good saver is you'll have less stress in life, because you'll always know that I can fall back on the money I have in my savings. And then if you have an investment mentality, And once you have enough saved, you can look into ideas or businesses that require a certain amount of income that you can invest that money. And of course, then your money will make money. Another thing too, if you can put it in a high interest yielding account, then that money that you save, the bank will add to that income every month or every year or every so often. So when you have a good amount in your savings, you can be your own bank. You have less stress in life. You can use the money to invest in the stock market, into a business. You can use the money to down payment on a house, down payment on a car. You can actually purchase your car cash. The benefits of being a good saver are endless. And so I'd encourage anyone, especially between the age of 15, start early. Learn to be a saver. Save your money consistently. Every time you get paid, save some money. And in the long run, you'll be happier and you'll be in more control of your finances if you learn to save money. All right, here comes tip number 2. And the second tip is this: be patient. The reason patience is important when it comes to money management is because you always pay for something. You always pay more for something when you buy it when it first comes out. It's a fact, especially when it comes to technology. When the iPhone first comes out, when the iPad first comes out, when a tablet, when a car, whatever it is, when it first comes out, you pay more when you get it right away. You pay less if you're patient and wait. Even with traveling, there's a new cruise ship called the Icon of the Seas, and I really want to go on that cruise ship, but right now it's very, 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 very expensive. So my plan is to wait a year or 2 years for the price to come down. That way I can still experience the cruise ship, but without paying so much. On the other hand, in March of 2022, I bought myself a Tesla Model Y. And the good news is, because I was my own bank, I was able to buy it. I didn't pay no car note, no interest. But if I had waited 2 more years, I would have saved about $25,000 on purchasing the same vehicle because the price is going down since I purchased it. So since I wasn't patient, I ended up paying more for the same vehicle because I wanted it then. I wanted it right away. And so you always pay a premium when you get something when it first comes out. So the tip number 2 is very simple: just to be patient. When the phone first comes out, wait 6 months, wait 10 months, or wait till the next one comes out and then get the phone. And that way you will spend less, you still get the things that you want, but you'll save money because you were patient. So again, tip number 2, be patient. All right, let's jump right into tip number 3. And tip number 3 is to set a goal. Anytime you're talking about managing money, you need to have a goal in mind, especially in particular when it comes to saving money. Have a goal in mind. I'm saving my money. I'm being patient about my spending because I'm trying to reach a goal. That goal, whatever it is going to motivate you to keep doing what you're doing. So if you are 14 or you are 15 years old and you say, hey, I want to buy a car when I'm 16 or 17. Keep that goal in front of you, right? Put it in your cell phone, put it on a board, put it in your notebook. Talk about the goal. This is my goal, because that goal is going to motivate you to stick to these very tips that we're talking about, to be patient and to save. You can set a 6-month goal. You can set a year goal. Maybe your goal in 6 months to have $500 in your savings. In 1 year to have $1,000 in your savings. If you're 18 and you're graduating, maybe your goal is to have $5,000 and you're going to use the $5,000 for a down payment on your first car. Or $5,000, probably not enough, maybe $8,000, $9,000. I'm going to save that so I can buy my first car cash. Perhaps you're going to move into your own apartment. I want to save $5,000 so I can buy my own furniture, right? So set a goal, have a goal associated with whatever you're doing, and keep that goal in front of you so that it can help you to be disciplined. It can help you to not waste money. And that way you'll be able to reach that goal by keeping the goal in front of you. So again, the third tip, or tip number 3, have a goal in mind. Set a goal. Maybe you want to have enough money to get through college without having to take a loan. Whatever the situation is, have a goal, set a goal, stick to that goal, and you're going to be more successful in reaching that goal. Now, let's move on into our fourth tip. And the fourth tip is don't have a debt mentality. Don't have a debt mentality. And what I mean by that is that if you want something and you can't afford it, don't go into debt to get it. Because inevitably you're going to end up spending more money on whatever that thing is and paying interest against it because you're going to go into debt to get it. And this all goes back to saving, being your own bank, and that way you don't have to go into debt, borrow, or put things on a credit card, right? Because you don't have a debt mentality. Resist that urge and that tendency to just go into debt. And I'm not knocking people when I give this example, just as an example. You have a cell phone. You want a cell phone. It's $1,000. It just came out because you weren't patient. You want to go ahead and get it, which is fine. That's your choice. But you can't afford it. So what you're going to do, you're going to go on a monthly payment plan to pay for your cell phone. But you're going to pay interest against that month after month after month after month until by the time you own a $1,000 phone, you would have paid probably $1,300, $1,400, $1,500 for the phone because you paid interest on it, right? Wouldn't it be better to just save up? Perhaps it won't be the newest, the latest, or the greatest phone, but save up $500 and just buy the phone outright, right? And that way, when you don't have a debt mentality, you have less overhead in life. In other words, you have less expenses in life because you don't have a lot of debt. It's a very freeing and beautiful experience to not have a lot of debt. Now, some things that most people buy, you have to go into debt to get it. Most people don't have enough money right away to buy a house. So you have to get a loan from a bank to buy the house. That's fine. Most people or some people don't have enough saved up to buy a car. So you have to get a loan or a debt. But if you can avoid, for example, getting into debt over a refrigerator, over a television, or a microwave, or a bed, save up your money, look for a good deal, look for a sale, and try to buy these things. Because if you don't, then your overhead in life or your debt in life is going to get higher and higher and higher. And then when you start having children, and then you have a mortgage, you have a car note, then you have all these credit cards piling up against you, your stress in life is increased, which affects your happiness, which affects your mood and your relationships, all because you have a debt mentality. So resist the urge to have a debt mentality. Again, which means I want this said thing. I don't have the money, so I'm going to borrow the money from my credit card or someone else or some institution who's going to charge me for this item interest. So I'm going to pay more than I should for the item because I don't want to wait, because I don't want to be patient. So I'll just swipe my card, swipe my card, swipe my card, swipe my card. And of course, no one does this perfectly. I've had situations in life where I had to put something on a credit card with such a big expense. For example, here recently, I did my taxes and I owed so much I had to put it on a credit card. And then now I'm having to try to pay it back because I wasn't as prepared as I should have been to pay that amount of money. So again, being patient, being a good saver, not having a debt mentality, these tips go a long way. And if you start these tips when you're young, then by the time you reach your 30s and your 40s, you're going to be at an excellent place in life. You're going to be able to travel. You're going to be able to enjoy life because you don't have a lot of debt. You'll be able to save even more money because you don't have a lot of debt. You're going to be happier in life because you don't have as much stress. The reality is that when you are in debt to a company, to a certain degree, they own you. And they're going to remind you of that every month when they send a letter to your house that, hey, you owe us this money. Pay us this money, right? You think about, too, the experience of buying a car cash versus a car note. If you have a car note and something happens and you cannot pay that car note, they are going to take your car. But if you buy the car outright and you don't go into debt because you save money, you bought it used or you bought it later when it wasn't brand new anymore, see, and now you own the car, you don't have no debt for it. No matter what happens in your life, you own the car. That's your car. No one can take it away from you. Same with your house. Of course, most people do go into debt to buy a house. That's pretty normal. That's your average American. But if you pay off that house, or you save enough money to get the payment down, then you get closer and closer to owning your house. And there's nothing like owning your own house and not having a mortgage every month, which was my experience. Before I was 35, I owned my house because I paid it off in full. And so not having debt, avoiding the debt mentality is going to benefit you tremendously, tremendously. So number 4, avoid the debt mentality. All right. Last but not least, number 5, reward yourself. When I was younger, a few years ago, and I started taking savings more seriously, I used to reward myself at certain intervals. Every 3 months, every 6 months, every year. I would take a small portion, typically 10% or 5% of what I've saved, or if I reach my goal, and I reward myself to a nice meal, to some new shoes. Whatever you're into, reward yourself. Because it can feel like a strain, or it can feel like work to try to manage money. But when you reward yourself, or there's reward at the end of the tunnel, it helps you to keep doing it. You know, the goal should be to make money management a part of you, to make saving and being patient and avoiding a debt mentality a part of your program in life. But it's also good to reward yourself or your family once you reach a goal. So like, just as an example, let's say you're going to save $100 a month. Maybe you're a teenager, you're in high school, you don't make a whole lot of money, but you make enough. And so at the end of the year, you have $1,200. You say, hey, I'm going to spend 10% of that, which is $120. Take $120 and take your parents out for a meal, or buy a television, buy a pair of shoes, buy some clothes. Again, whatever you like, reward yourself so that you don't always feel like you're suffering. That's the word I was looking for. You know, you don't have to feel like you're suffering, because then you're going to start to resent managing money and resent saving money, resent being patient. Reward yourself. That's what you should do. And that way, that'll be a motivation to keep going, because you say, at the end of this, I'm going to reward myself with something nice. And so that's the 5th tip, to reward yourself. Again, so you don't feel like you're suffering. You can enjoy the experience of money management. All right, let's go ahead and review the 5 tips. The 5 tips for good money management. Number 1, be a saver. Remember, be your own bank. Borrow from yourself. No fees, no penalties, no interest. Number 2, be patient. Be patient. You always pay a premium when you buy something when it first comes out. So resist the urge to do that. Number 3, set a goal. Have a goal in mind. The goal will motivate you. I am saving to buy a car. I am saving for a down payment on my apartment or on my house. I'm saving to pay my own college tuition. That's the goal. Keep the goal in mind. Write it in a notebook. Put it in your phone. Tell your family about, this is my goal, and this is how I'm going to achieve it. Set a goal. Have a goal in mind. Number 4, don't have a debt mentality. If you can't afford it and you don't have the money, don't go into debt over it. Now, there are exceptions to that. Buying a home, buying a car, that's normal. Other than that, try to avoid going into debt for cell phones, appliances, furniture. Save up your money, find a good deal, and buy it. Don't have a debt mentality. Number 5, reward yourself. After 6 months of saving, a year of saving, do something nice for yourself. Do something nice for your family. If you're married, take your spouse out to a nice restaurant. If you're into shoes, buy yourself some shoes. Buy yourself a new shirt. Buy yourself a TV. Reward yourself at certain intervals so that you don't feel like I'm suffering while I'm managing money. And you realize that, hey, I can still have the things that I want. I just have to be patient. I just have to save. Try to avoid debt, right? Always reward yourself every so often. Maybe take 5% of the savings, 10% of the savings, and do something nice for yourself, because then the experience will be better and it'll be easier for you to really incorporate that program, these 5 tips, or those previously 4 tips, into your life. If you do these 5 tips, if you make it a part of your program in life, especially if you start early as a teenager, 13, 14, 15, 16. Then once you become an adult, they'll already be ingrained. It'll already be a pattern for you, and it'll be easier to continue it. And then again, once you get to a certain point of saving, you can think about investing. You can think about the stock market. You can think about high interest yielding accounts, and you're going to have less stress in life. You're going to be able to do more in life and have more in life because you're able to manage money correctly and responsibly. So again, 5 tips for managing money. Hope you enjoyed the video. You can like or subscribe to the channel if you choose to do so. You can add comments, maybe your own experience or other suggestions. And especially if you really enjoy this video and you start doing these tips, please let me know in the comments after 6 months of it or after a year what you've been able to accomplish as far as saving or being patient. If you think these tips are beneficial, if you don't think they're beneficial, please let me know. Otherwise, enjoy the video. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time.